Guys, guyettes, we're finally on to getting some paint on the T5 build series. I've been looking forward to getting some paint on it until I saw the roof. It's full of dents, we need to fix them, it's not going to be fun, but we've got to do it nevertheless. Let's get into it. The roof has got some dents in it. And I say some, I mean loads. The van is nice and straight down the sides. We're really happy with that. But a few weeks ago, I'm precariously on the ramp legs, I did have a peek on the roof and had a look to only find it has got loads of little dents in these raised ridges. There's loads of them. I've got the door pulled down because I couldn't see them. But now, I'm sure you can see the waviness of the roof. And we've also got two silly little aerial things going on. I know VWs of this age aren't very good for aerials, so I might take that out and put a shark fin as an aerial. Or I've got to weld both of them up too. I was really happy with the condition of the van when I picked it up. Had a good look round it. Thought, yeah, it's not going to be too bad. Until I looked at the roof and I was heavily disappointed. They were carpet fitters who owned it last, so the inside's nice, the outside's nice. But I take it they had to stick a carpet on a roof upside down and thought they'd use the van as a hop-up. Not happy, but it needs doing nevertheless. For the past few weeks I have been inside, outside, tapping some dents out. The further you can get a dent out, the easier it is to put filler in, the easier it is to rub out, the easier the easier. So when doing dents, always try to get the metalwork as straight as possible before you start. Most of the dents are up the back, happy days, but there is some along the front. Not loads, but there is some. I need to DA all these high ridges because that is where 95% of the dents are. There is a few small ones in between, but that's fine. I'm going to DA all these high ridges down with 500, mark all the dents, put a little bit of filler most of the way, unfortunately, along 80% of these ridges, then air block them down, then prime them, and then paint the roof silver. I'm going to paint the roof silver individually because we have got a nice edge to finish off. Paint the roof silver, then let it sit for a couple of days, then I can back tape off this and follow the silver down. I did say to a friend of mine, I've got loads of dents in my roof. He said, no one's going to see the roof, just paint straight over them. I'm like, no. There's no way I'm painting over dents. So we need to fix it. A little bit of filler, a little bit of time, it should be all good. What I'm going to do is 500 them down here, apply filler up and down the roof, and then when it's time to rub them all down, towards the end of the day, I'm going to take it down to my buddy's workshop, because he's got a massive hydro vane compressor that keeps air nicely, uses air block, and just air block the whole lot. I'm not going to rub these down by hand because it's hard to lean over. This is the worst piece. Always start with the worst piece. It's never easy rubbing roofs down, especially when they're full of dents. So I'm going to time lapse, rubbing these down, getting some filler in, and then I'll do a bit of explaining on what's going on a bit later. So anyway, let's roll the time lapse and let's see how pretty we can make this roof. So, it's meant to rain. I'm up here, by the way, guys. It's meant to rain for the next couple of days. And I want to get this in primer. So I've ponched a bit of workshop space off my good friend Nathan. He always helps me out. We're gonna air block these. There's filler all the way along, 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm just gonna air block them. If you're good with a sander, you can get a straight panel. If you're not very good with a sander, it's easy to mess things up. So I'm just gonna air block them. There's no way I'm hand blocking all them down. Let me get a quick shot for you so you can see what's going on. Let me get back a bit. Oh, I'm up with the spiders up here, guys. So that is what it looks like. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4 that are skimmed all the way along, and then a couple little bits on the outside one. I'm going to air block all the way along them. I'm going to use a hoover as well so there ain't no dust. And yeah, it should come out nice and straight actually. The filler went on really nice. We're going to set a time lapse up for this. I just want to crack on so I get a time lapse so you guys can see what's going on. It shouldn't take too long. He says, let's roll the time lapse. Yeah. It's actually 3 days later after the last shot, the last time lapse. I started it on a Thursday. Oh, I don't know when I started it. I've lost count. It's now Sunday morning. And big shout out to Foxy. Not only does he let me bring my van into his workshop, he gives me his keys and lets me crack on. So I am working in the dark. So the last thing I want to do is cost him money, me being in the way. So I'm in the dark. Oh, what a slog it is. Let me turn Alexa off before we get copyright issues. Oh, finally there. And you can see there's been a lot of work. So I did start by only saying, yeah, I'm just going to do the dents in the top, you know, the ridges. Then as I'm going, good timing. Then as I'm going along, I'm feeling in the middle of the ridges. So of course, I got carried away and I've done them too. Oh, what an absolute slog. I did also find a little dent at the back and a few little ones along the edge. Whatever someone done with this roof, i.e. used it for a job to walk along, mate, you've just cost me 3 days. There's more bodywork in this whole roof than there is in the whole van. Not done much filming, no top tips or guides. I will get into doing bodywork later in the series, maybe the next video when we do the sides. This has been a slog. I just wanted to get it done. I have just finished scotching all the edges. Oh, nearly falling. It is quite high up. And we can see there and there, they were aerial holes, had the most random aerials. One was GPS, one was for radio. I'll rather put one in the windscreen rather than have them poking out the top. What I'd done, I ended up cleaning the surface, 2 random holes. I cut out some little, I don't know, 10p piece size bits of metal. Then we cut out some little squares. I did put some weld through primer each side of both of them, then spot welded the back, then welded them in, then a small skosh of fiberglass, then a really thin skim of filler, and we have 2 welded up holes that are absolutely mint, never to be seen again. Anyway, it's finally time for primer. Happily, I have got to prime the whole roof, and I've still got to rub the whole roof down. Before we get there, I have to move one little van, one jag, one out the booth, get the T5 outside, blow it all off, tape up around the sides, making sure to tape up the fresh front end, get it in the booth, get some primer on. Not going to film any more of that. I will do a lot more explaining on bodywork. I just want to get the roof out of the way. It's been a bit of a slog. Guys, caught. I haven't done much filming with the roof. You know them jobs that you think, oh, I just smashed that out, won't take too long. Am I in shot? I better be. Oh, I'm going to have to check. Yeah, I believe I'm in shot. Because I ain't taking the shot again. Anyway, as I was saying, those jobs, oh, I just quickly do that. Won't take me too long. I've been up on this roof for 5 days. And the painful thing is, it's a roof, or as most people I've spoke to have said, oh, it's a roof, what are you bothering for? No one's ever going to see it. And yeah, you're right, you are so right. But I can't paint over dents. And there was loads in the roof. The previous owner must have used it for a job that required them to be higher up, and they thought, oh, I know, it's only an old work van, I'll just use the roof, be fine. And it looked like they had football boots on or something like that. There was, I reckon, 100 dents. Only little ones, nothing major, but just loads of little dents. And I'm not someone that can paint over dents. So anyway, 5 days later, and here we are. I'm really happy with the two repairs. The aerials that were in it, two random aerials. But yeah, we're nearly there. We are almost there, in fact. Just got to finish cleaning, and I am precariously balanced on stuff, literally. But we've got to get it done. Got the whole workshop to myself, but it is 10 o'clock at night. Put that down carefully. Yeah, it's 10 o'clock at night. The other night, Mrs, kids, we had dinner. It was cold. Sat in front of the heater and stuff like that. I said, yeah, I'm going to go rub that roof down. I rubbed the roof down 5 times. Oh, precariously balanced. Anyway, she says, how can you go back out to do some work in the cold after being all comfy? And I replied, no one else is going to do it for me. Literally, no one else, unless you start paying dough out. And I asked the other Nathan, whose workshop this is, Foxy, if some of you know him, Nathan Fox. I said, how much would you charge to do a job like this? And he said, to be honest, he would try and put it off. If someone come in and ask how much to fix all the dents on my roof, he would quote them high to try not to have to do the job, because it is that horrible of a job. But he said if he had to do it, he would charge him £1,000 just to paint the roof. And he said all he would do was skim it, air block it off, prime it, block it, and that's what it is. It is what it is. But I've gone a little bit further than that. So even doing this roof, which what I thought wouldn't have taken long, because the rest of the van is really tidy. And when I bought the van, just cleaning, when I bought the van, I thought, oh yeah, it's not going to be a big slog like the Caddy was. I never want to see a T5 roof again. This has been one of them jobs. Why did you question your life choices? What am I up to? But it's all easier after this. Well, it better be. There's as much bodywork in this roof that there is in the whole van. So yeah, it's all down, all uphill, all downhill. Well, anyway, it gets easier after this, and I will do a lot more explaining on the processes, what's involved in bodywork. I didn't give you many tips and tricks in this video, but I wanted to show you the roof anyway. I couldn't just come out like, ta-da, I painted the roof. I've had to show you a few bits. I'm going to somehow get, I've got a bit of a soft edge going on the edge of the roof here, because then I can backmask against it when we paint the sides. I am going to precariously somehow maybe cable tie the camera up there, and we will get a time lapse of painting the roof. I'll just push the button on the mic, hopefully it's still recording, and I'll get a time lapse on the go. We'll recap tomorrow, see how the roof is. Let's just get it done. Oh, yeah. Oh. Van is back in the workshop. The paint is dry. Let's have a little butcher's. Oh yeah, that is looking sweet. Nice bit of shine on it, nice even coat, and it is straight enough for a roof. Yeah, really happy actually. There was so many dents, I've mentioned a few times. What an absolute slog a roof is. Let's get up on the second floor and have a better look. Yeah, super happy with that. It's come out real nice. Compared to what it was before, covered in dents, I can now look along it and be happy that it's nice and straight. Really happy with the two aerials that were there. Can't see them at all, no sinkage or anything like that. I did anti-rust spray on the inside after they were painted, and I am going to put some Dodo sound mat in. We'll never be hearing from those again. Yeah, it's come out really well, in fact. I'm just going to quickly explain on the painting process. A lot of you painters out there will already know this, but many of you don't. And when you're painting a base and lacquer, the process or the steps I use with the base coat, before the base coat in fact, clean it. Loads of cleaning. I use a watery based solution. Then you go in with a degreaser. That removes dirt and then grease. Clean the hell out of it. Then I come in with the colour, let's say silver, and I'll put a light coat of silver on. The reason for a light coat, first of all, now and again you get silicone marks or little circles appear. If you've ever painted over any silicone mastic in your house, you'll go over it and then it completely separates, it doesn't stick to it. Well, that sometimes happens with base coat or painting, and that is called silicone marks. And although you've cleaned it, you might now and again get some. So if you go in with a really heavy coat and then get a circle silicone mark, that turns into a little crater, and you can actually see that under the lacquer. So go in with a light coat. If you get any of those silicone marks, it'll be a little circle, you'll see it appear. I wait for that to go off, then I get my tack rag and just go over it lightly, and then I'll dust some paint over the circles or the imperfections. Couple of little dust coats, and that will cover it. Let that flash right off, and then we're going to go in with a nice heavy wet coat. That is going to get rid of what you might have seen, the striping. If you've ever seen a car that's been painted, you can see the stripes. Going in with a super wet coat, a nice heavy coat of the base coat, that helps to even it out. Nice wet coat of your colour, let that flash off, 20 minutes, half hour, and then I'll go in with a drop coat. And that is gun further away and trigger only half pulled in. That puts a dusty coat over everywhere, and again that helps to sort out any of the striping, and it makes it nice and even. I do sometimes do 2 drop coats, i.e. dusty coats, and that makes it nice and even. Plenty of colour on there, because you don't want to be seeing through anything you've lacquered, because then you've got to do the whole thing again. 20 minutes, half hour later, go in with a tack cloth. Tack cloth is something that's a cloth and it's tacky. It just grabs any paint, any material, and it just gets up anything you don't want on there. Wait for it to go right off, of course. Go over it, the whole panel with a tack rag. Because you've done a drop coat, a dusty coat, you're going to get overspray. And overspray is not bonded in to the paint. So the tack cloth just lifts all that off, and once you've wiped it down, you'll see that your tack cloth is all covered in the paint or in the dusty stuff that was sat on top. And you want to remove that before lacquering. Once that's done, a nice 90% coat of lacquer. If you put 100% on, it's going to run and drip, and they look awful. I'm sure you've seen runs in paintwork. So go in with a 90% coat. It is shiny, but it's not very thick. That is plenty on there. If you go in with a dry coat, first of all, a dusty coat, you then don't get the best finish in your final coat. So I go in, 90% coat, let that flash off, 20 minutes, half hour, weather dependent and temperature dependent, obviously. And then how do you know whether it's ready for the second coat and the heavy coat? Well, if you get a bit of masking tape, that is where you've been painting, and just touch it. Touch the lacquer. If it's stringy, it's not ready. You need to wait until it's stopped being stringy, but it's still tacky. Then you can go in with a nice 100% wet coat, and then it won't run, it won't hang off, and it'll come out good. I will do a lot more explaining in a later video when we do the side. I just wanted to get this done. Yeah, super happy. It's silver. It is good enough for the girls we date. Anyway, Andy's caddy's coming along nicely. We've got some lowering springs and stuff. There'll be a video coming up Wednesday for it. Same day as the caddy meet. Hopefully we don't get turfed out this time. We shall see. Then we're going to do this in between. I'm going to move on to the sides. We need to bare metal the sides because there's loads of stone chips and rust bubbles forming from stone chips. So we're going to bare metal the lower half, paint the top half, put some windows in it. I haven't mentioned windows yet, but I like the window look in a T5. So we're going to get some windows, paint the sides, have it looking pretty. It's coming along nicely, really happy in fact, but that is it from this one. If you enjoyed the video or found it useful, click the thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. On this one, I'm out.